Hey guys, Phil Baumhardt here. So for today's video, I got another leaf spring that I found in the gutter. Fairly nice size. It broke off here on this end, so nice square shape, a little bit of a bow to it, which is not a big deal. We'll just flatten that out. So today I'll be forging a KUKRI, and for those of you unfamiliar with the shape, it's got a very distinct recurve with a elongated drop point. So first thing I'm going to do is take this end here and just sort of forge that into that drop point. Then I'll hammer the edge side and draw out this material here, give it that big wide cutting surface, and then I will hammer in the recurve. And then for the tang, traditionally they had a narrow tang that goes all the way through the knife, so I'll probably do that, but depending on how things go, I might make it into a full tang knife. So this will be my first time making a KUKRI, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here's how the point's looking. We got a bit of a fish mouth going on here, which isn't great, but I mean, I'll just have to grind that off. But I think this is going to be the cutting edge here. You can see how thick that is. So we've already got a decent shape. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to work on just drawing out this whole edge area here and broadening up this portion right in here. So you can see just from hammering on that spot there, it's making that this end come up. So we're already getting that KUKRI shape. But as we do that, this of course stays real thick. So I have to go back in and work that down just to keep that from getting too thick. But overall, I mean, we're already getting that KUKRI shape, so I'm happy with it. Okay, so I'm getting pretty close to completing the tang. If my memory serves correctly, the head of the KUKRI's peened over on a cap on the butt end, so it's got to be long enough to go all the way through the handle. So I got a little bit more work to do, but we're almost there. Okay, so I got the length that I need out of this, evened up the shoulders a little bit there. So I'm going to go back in and start putting in more of that recurve. So the lowest part of the blade really needs to be right in around here, right before the tang of the knife, and then it's got to widen out. So I've got more hammering to do right in this area here. It's still going to be pretty thick in here. I'm thinking I'm going to have to grind that to the proper thinness. But I'm just sort of going over the edge just to give me that final sweeping curve shape. So, okay, well here's what the KUKRI is looking like. Pretty happy with this. It's a still a pretty thick blade. So this is going to be a really good chopper. I'm probably going to thin down the tang just a little bit here, but before I do that, I want to go ahead and start drilling out my handle wood. So this will be this should be long enough here, and then I'll kind of hot fit the rest of that handle on there once I get the initial hole drilled. And I'm also going to clean up the point here. You can see it's got kind of a fish mouth going on. I think that's partially because of the jagged edge on the broken spring, but obviously also just the way that I forged it. So we'll get that cleaned up. Not a big deal, but let's get going. Okay, so now I'm going to widen up this hole here, make it more of a slot that the tank can fit into. And so I've got this Gerber multiplier, and it comes with this plastic grit saw. And I actually bought this particular one because it doesn't have a knife, and I can get it on an airplane. But what's neat is that this saw is removable, and it will accept jigsaw blades. So this is a woodworking jigsaw blade, and I can put that right on there. And now I can use this to open up this hole a bit and make a slot. So the advantage of it being so long is I can really get it down in there. And I'm not just opening up the mouth of the handle. And I found that this actually makes it easier to burn in the knife handles. And you can see that the tang is already starting to fit in there, so we'll just get this hot in the forge and start hot fitting it, and then we'll kind of saw as we go. Okay, so we sort of maxed out our edges here. This is white ash, so it's fairly soft wood. It was able to kind of burn its way through and enlarge the slat. I'm just going to use my saw here to kind of help it along. Okay, so the KUKRI handles, they've kind of got a large pommel area right here where it kind of swells out and it tapers back in. So I'm going to try to keep this pretty simple, but we still want to try to maintain that traditional KUKRI look. So I'm going to get the angle grinder and see what I can do as far as shaping the handle is concerned. Okay, so I got the handle roughed out pretty much the shape that I want. So it feels good in hand. Got a decent hourglass figure going on, which is kind of cool. So the main thing I was going for was basically a palm swell down here at the bottom. I'm going to put a steel cap on the end here, and then we'll peen the tang over when it's time to solidify the handle. But basically with the KUKRIs, the handle doesn't extend past the blade, and then the palm swell here at the end is kind of the trademark look of the KUKRI handle. From rounding off the handle itself, it got a little narrower than what I wanted, but that's okay. I think overall it's gonna work out just fine. It'll work just fine. But I'm trying to keep it looking like a KUKRI, flattened out the area up in here. So the traditional ones seem to have this ridge in the center line, but I'm not going to do that. We're just going to stick with this hourglass figure. I think it'll look nice. But so right now we'll get going on this steel cap. So I just got some mild steel plate that I was using, probably from a Shield Boss build. Let's trace this out. For blade and spine, so I get the right direction. Now actually what I should do before I cut all this out is make sure I have enough leeway here, because I should drill out the tang hole first and then cut out around that, just so that I know that it's going to line up properly. So luckily my pencil will fit down here, and I can mark the spot. Looks like it's right about there. And then also, if I tap this, I get a bunch of ash that falls down there, and I can kind of see the hole. So there we go. So it is off center. I'm not bothered by that at all. So if we flip this around, there you go, you can see how that lines up. So the very nub of that tang is all that's sticking out, so that'll be easier to peen over. Okay, so I got a pretty good fit of the cap onto the handle there. I'll probably hold off till it's actually 100% set, because I don't want to, take too much off. But I mean, that's for a rough fit. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So another distinguishing characteristic of the KUKRI is the two half moon shapes cut out in the kind of ricasso area. So I'll go ahead and put those in right now. So I'll cut some slits with the angle grinder first, and see if I can open those up with a half round file. Okay, so there's what it's looking like. Not exactly the shape that I had in mind going into it, but I like that. I think that works. It's got a good look to it, and completes the aesthetic. So I'm going to call that good on that for now. And so we can see here on the inside of the recurve, it's much thicker than further down the blade. So this bit in here, zoom out a bit. This part in here will be fairly easy to grind. Just as I would any other knife. It's this part in here that's going to be the real trick. So I think what I'm going to try to do to get this grinding here is use I'm going to use the contact wheel, and just kind of coming at it like this, and we'll see how well that works. Okay, so I got the KUKRI rough ground. It's fairly thin, so I'm going to go ahead and quench it right now. I've now got a big old ammo can to quench these things in. I've still just got that filled with vegetable oil, so see how it works. Okay, so that was a successful quench. Passed the hardness test. Doesn't seem to have picked up any warps, so I'm happy with that. So I used a technique that I learned from watching the Jason Knight YouTube video. Setting the propane torch up, touching the quench tank to heat the oil up. That seemed to work out well. Alright, we're good to go. So I'll get this in the oven and get it tempered. Alright, well, we got the blade quenched and tempered. Since I got this kind of ricasso area, I'll be able to grind this to finish once the handle's glued on there, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'll get this filled up with epoxy, we'll glue that on there, and then we'll peen over the pommel cap there, and it should be good to go. Put a little bit of glue on the bottom here for the pommel. I've got this marked blade and spine, so I know which end goes where. Alright, so you can see that we're getting there. We are almost there. So the key is really just to be patient. If you try to rush them, you really just end up screwing things up. Alright, well, there's a look at that. The glue is all dried on this. Anyways, next thing I'll do is clean up this handle. I got a bit of a lip here from the steel, so we'll clean up all that and sand up the handle, and we'll put our edge in. This is going to basically be a Scandi grind, so going from here all the way down to basically zero termination. So it's going to be a real stout blade, but it's going to be sharp. Should be good for you know, chopping branches and splitting logs and those kind of things. So Alright, well the blade held up really well, as I was hoping, kind of as expected. I mean, it's such a thick blade. I mean, I think it's at the thinnest 1/4 of an inch, so back in here it's really thick. So it's a heavy knife. It's about 2.8 pounds if memory serves, 16.1 inches long. But yeah, it sliced really good. You know, I had to you know, do my part and really concentrate because of how thick this is. You know, it knocked the milk jugs off the table, but you know, it would cut good. The edge alignment is straight because you saw that clean straight cut through the 4 milk jugs. You know, slice through the watermelon, of course, with these. That was really just for fun. And so this I kind of think of as a you know, obviously it could be a weapon, but also a woodworking tool, so it could chop through those bigger branches. This is better for lopping off smaller branches. As you saw, the stuff like this size is a lot of work, and you know, you can really feel the vibrations, you know what I mean? So an axe is obviously a better tool for that, but this just gets the job done, and it performs as it's supposed to. So handle held up, it's still solid as a rock. The pommel peened over, it's, you know, hasn't moved at all, so those are the 2 kind of issues that I was concerned about. No chipping or edge deformation. It's still got a prickly edge. I'm happy with that, so that means I got a good heat treatment. So overall, a success. You know, I sort of blasted through this build because I just wanted to see it finished. I was excited about getting this one done. So I probably could have taken a lot more time and refined it and made different things better, but overall this is just sort of a beast of a knife. So alright, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be more Viking.